Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel. This is Coach DC from All 22 Films. We're going to take a look at Ethan Burke, the Ravens UDFA edge rusher slash defensive end from the University of Texas originally. He had tremendous impact across the width and the depth of the field in the Week 2 win over the Vikings. We're going to pick up the film here from the fourth possession. It should be noted from a statistical production standpoint, isolating for Saturday's game. He was rotating possessions. In fact, he wasn't on the field at all on the third possession, a pretty long one for Minnesota. Keep that in mind. But in any case, we're picking this up on the fourth drive. There's going to be two stunts happening here from a four-man rush standpoint. So these two defensive end are going to run a particular stunt off the right side for the Ravens, and Ethan Burke is going to run a stunt with Broderick Washington. I do think a relative weakness of his is just general pass rush explosiveness, but he's really good at everything, if you ask me. Again, we're operating with a small sample size here, dropping in pass coverage, punching the football out later in the game for a forced fumble, getting to the quarterback a couple of times in one-on-one situations. Here, Broderick is working up the field, trying to ace. Oftentimes, these guys will rip with the inside arm and try to hold the guard's outside arm, such that when the D-end or edge rusher loops underneath, that guard is unable or incapable of peeling off. In this case, it didn't matter. That guard had zero awareness of it whatsoever. So I'm not saying that, everyone in the NFL is going to handle it in that regard. It really looks like the Vikings are just manning this. So the guard is staying with Broderick, and the tackle is staying with Burke. And in this case, the inside move for Burke ends up winning. There was a slight push off by Broderick Washington to possibly assist him. It's an incomplete pass nonetheless. Like I said, a 2nd and 13 on the fourth possession. This is the very next snap. Just off screen to you guys left is Chandler Rivers. Fantastic coverage, corner, slot, outside guy from Duke. Played for Manny Diaz. I think the world of that draft pick that, EDC and the Ravens front office got in the 5th round. Keep that in mind. One thing that we've been talking about in our Ravens Discord for a while is how deep this UDFA class appears to be. There's so many players that are ready to play football from day one. I just finished a video on Jacob Thomas, the extremely balanced safety for the Minnesota Vikings, who ironically is from Northern Virginia, played for James Madison. So many guys, UDFAs for this year and the previous draft, 2025, are able to play football immediately. But in any case, another pass rush here. It's a one-on-one situation. And you can see he's just a grinder, in my opinion. He doesn't really get to the quarterback like 56 does here in terms of being on time. But you got two rushes in a row that provide some idea of what you're getting with Ethan Burke. A guy who can run stunts, guy who can drop out in coverage, rush the passer occasionally with some success. It's a great job by Chandler Rivers, staying connected to the receiver, understanding the timing when to get his hands in there. In this case, his hand, I should say his left hand, the outside hand, getting that in there for a PD. The Ravens are able to get off the field. Like I said, the fourth possession, I think it's the last one where J.J. McCarthy was on the field. I had that one mislabeled there at the end. That was actually on the fourth possession. Another 3 and out, and like I said, J.J. McCarthy was out of the game thereafter. We move forward here into the second quarter. 6th drive for the Vikings. Carson Wentz in at quarterback. He actually leads them down for a field goal that's on the possession that started at the -8. Burke is off the right-hand side. Couple of things to mention here as this play rolls through. We've got a two-gap bubble. And oftentimes, at the NFL level, college level, high school even in some cases, teams will give you a two-gap bubble pre-snap and then do something from a stunt standpoint to cover up one of those gaps and maybe drop down a safety here to influence the football to bounce if you do, in fact, run there. The Ravens don't do that. Number one, Burke takes this on, tries to compress the kick-out block such that there is no lane inside of that block. It's the backside guard who's pulling and kicking. We're talking about the right guard here. So Burke is a big, strong guy, obviously very physical. We saw that last week in the preseason. Here, he's just trying to compress the gap, but two other things, compress the lane, such that there is no gap for the running back to run underneath of him and off of that wall of blockers. But two other things are happening, man. Dominic DeLuca continues to impress me. I liked his game at Penn State. Another guy who played for Manny Diaz before Diaz left for Duke. DeLuca had kind of, I guess you could say, converted to inside linebacker. Really accomplished young man from a high school standpoint, went to Penn State, and he was not an inside linebacker initially. Here, he's doing a great job of getting to the play side shoulder, and 47, in addition, is also getting to the play side shoulder. Essentially, some would say, keep your outside arm free. It's a double combo here from the play side tackle and guard. On 58, DeLuca gets over the top. 59 compresses from the backside. Look at the triangulation, or really there's 4 players there to hold the running back for a 2-yard gain. I think it starts here with Ethan Burke stepping down immediately to close off that gap, or it should be plural gaps, because like I said, it was a 2-gap bubble initially pre-snap, and the Ravens did nothing from a stunt standpoint to try to close up or clog up any of those gaps. This is Ethan Burke, number 1, compressing that kick-out block by the backside guard. DeLuca getting to the outside shoulder free. 47, the other inside linebacker, getting to the outside arm free. A really great job, in my opinion, of run defense. After you've presented the offense something that, theoretically could be successful pre-snap. He's a very aggressive football player, whether that's punching the football out or stripping it out later on here in the game, finishing violently on top of the quarterback, not in a way that's going to be called for a penalty here. But credit the Vikings for how they protect on this 36-yard pass from Wentz to Jones. Granted, it is over top of one safety for the Ravens with a second safety, who I think the world of, Keandre Jackson, converging. You'll see that here at the end of the play. Burke is off the right-hand side for us. And the Vikings are pass proing this. First of all, this tackle is getting some help from that tight end. So functionally, you've got a chip on Mike Green and then the right tackle taking him over. Here, the left guard and the center are essentially doubling the D tackle. And then the running back over here on the right side against Burke is going to offer a little bit of a chip help for the left tackle as well. Burke doesn't get to the quarterback. Like I said, it's a 36-yard completion to Jones. I just love the violence, the ability to play through contact and then continue to proceed to the quarterback. Trying a little cross chop here, Mike Green-esque, if you will, getting his feet off the ground and then chopping with the inside hand, making contact with the running back with his right shoulder and then playing through that contact, trying to drive the quarterback back. You can see the ball's already out, so he didn't, get a pressure or a quarterback hit or anything like that. I just love the way the guy plays football. The Ravens drafted extremely well this year, and I think the UDFAs they brought in for multiple years have always been really good. Ethan Burke is another one, in my opinion. Like I said, this ends up being a big completion downfield over the top of Walters, who fell down, and that's Keandre Jackson from the other side of the field. Jackson was way over here pre-snap, unable to get to the football. Ends up being Minnesota's biggest gain on the day after that 50-yarder from McCarthy on the second possession. All right, we move forward to the 7th drive for Minnesota. This is going to be a very unusual play into the boundary. The Ravens are lined up in their base 3-4 structure, matching 12 personnel for the Vikings. It's a play-action boot, so the running back path is illustrated by that red line down to the bottom of our screen, the left-hand side of the Vikings offense, and the quarterback is going to boot into the boundary. The only thing that makes any sense to me here at all is that Burke knows the pass coverage concept that was called, and he has the flat. So he's got the awareness here, in my opinion, to recognize, even though there's boot, I do have to get out into the flats. Now, there's a lot to be said here. If it's play-action boot, the whole defensive line is going to be moving with the offensive line in this direction, and that's what happened. That's what happens. If Peebles is supposed to be the contained player, let's say it's straight drop back pass. Brosmer doesn't play action and then boot. He just goes straight drop back pass. Well, then Peebles is probably not going to react the way that he is here. He's not going to move in this direction. He's probably going to engage and then try to get to the outside and be the contained player. What appears to be occurring to me is Ethan Burke is honoring his responsibility. Having said that, I can't wait until he's confident enough to say, okay, I have the flats, but this is play action boot, which kind of breaks coverages down, if you will. It can sometimes morph or change the shape of the coverage. Now, the Ravens do a great job generally reacting to play action boot. This is the first time, it's only a 3-yard gain, to be honest with you. This is the first time in this preseason where I've seen a quarterback able to get outside so easily. Peebles I mean, you can say what you want here. He's put in a ton of conflict with the offensive line all moving in this direction, the running back moving in this direction. He's fighting Peebles to stay in a gap in case it is actually a run play. Then he does swim over the top of this tight end. I'm talking about Peebles. So maybe some would say the breakdown is just Peebles. I think he's chasing just before I pause this. He's actually off screen for you guys, or difficult to see because of the magnification. He's chasing the run play still, and then adjusts, tries to get out to contain. He can't do it. I think the Vikings had an excellent play call here on a 2nd and 1. B, I'm not sure that I can really fault Peebles, even though he is technically the contain player. If he doesn't try to work down the line of scrimmage and it is a run play, then it leaves a huge lane for the running back to possibly cut it back. Even though we're in about the same position on the field, this is actually the next drive, the 8th possession for the Vikings. Brilliant timing here on this pass defense from Ethan Burke. The ball's in the middle of the field, so, he is not set up into the boundary. I do wonder if he gets any run at any point in time soon for the Ravens or any other team, 2026, 2027, if he doesn't kind of end up being a boundary side guy for the most part. It should also be noted that the Ravens are in dime here on 3rd and long. So you've got 4 DBs on the field, 2 safeties there. I believe that is another safety. That could be Jay Higgins, but I'm not seeing the number perfect there. So if that is true, then they're actually not in dime here. But I do know this. It is a screen. It's an outside screen to the number 1 receiver at the top of our screen here. You guys, he's kind of cut off for you guys. Ethan Burke's timing and awareness here is exquisite. He bats this down with the inside hand. Everyone is releasing from an offensive line standpoint to get out there, essentially jailbreak screen, if you will, on a 3rd and long. And this is almost a pick 6. I mean, Burke, if he was a half a step or even a quarter step more under control here, or sooner in his reaction, I guess I should say, he might have picked this ball off, and we might be talking about a pick 6 in the second half, on top of all of the other things that he did extremely well on Saturday. Do they retain him as opposed to Adisa Isaac? I don't know. And I don't know if you're going to pick between the two from a Ravens front office standpoint, then they both probably have to play in the Week 3 game. You'd like to see them against the same competition, if you will. The same play from the end zone angle, like I said. You can see that he's stepping up field, presumably to be a pass rusher in what looks to be a 4-man rush for the Ravens on 3rd and long, like I said. And in this case, puts the brakes on, recognizes it really quickly. I think he's a very experienced and smart and savvy football player. So many of these UDFAs across the NFL, not just, for the Ravens or Jacob Thomas, like I talked about with the Vikings, so many of these UDFAs come into the league. They're looking like guys who have played a high level of football, because they are. It's just an interesting dynamic this year, if you ask me. I perceive that there are more UDFAs, quality UDFAs, number 1. Number 2, a higher propensity of guys or concentration of UDFAs, who can play at a higher level immediately. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. In any case, we're now into the 4th quarter, first play of the 4th quarter, and Burke and Jay Higgins are going to drop out. I do know that this is Jay Higgins here. My apologies if I got it wrong on the previous play that I showed you. The receiver, Jones, same guy who had the 36-yard catch earlier, he's going to kind of snag it up. He's a slot, though, so snag concept usually involves an outside receiver, number 1. Number 2, someone else running a flat concept to complement the snag. In any case here, Burke strips the football. Higgins is there as well. 25 jumps on top of it. I think it's important to mention again that Burke was rotating with a number of guys. Zion Young played some snaps. Mike Green, Adisa Isaac is out there. 56, I think 59 as well. So how many is that? 6 other edge defenders / outside linebackers got on the field. And Ethan Burke's numbers, his contribution, it looks like he played 50 snaps if you were just to look at the stats. What I mean is that the contribution statistically looks like a player who played consistently throughout the game, and that's not actually the case. Last play that I'll show you here, this is, of course, going to be his sack. It's on the 11th possession Do I think he's a full-time, one-on-one winner from a pass rush standpoint against starting level offensive linemen, offensive tackles, to be precise right now? No, I don't. But there's skills there, there's awareness, there's playmaking ability, and I think a, a finishing tone to him that is palpable, that you can observe. When he lays hands on people, they move. Whether they're receivers, tight ends, this particular offensive tackle, his posture is totally getting broken. Ethan Burke initially engages him not on a half man. You can see that Burke's right hand is definitely on this side of that offensive tackle's body, the left side, the furthest side from our perspective. Whereas Burke's right hand is on this side, the nearest side of that guy's body. So he eventually turns him, breaks his posture totally, while framing him up with the right hand, is able to take the left hand and reposition it here underneath the bottom side of the wrist. High-level football play, if you ask me, regardless of who Ethan Burke accomplished that against. I mean, I have no problem if someone in the comment section says Ethan Burke has outplayed Adisa Isaac, and we think we should keep him now because we've got, I think it was Walter or a couple of other people in our Ravens Discord brought it up. A UDFA, I believe, 3 years of control, and then they finished that contract as an RFA. If I have that incorrect, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Whereas Adisa Isaac, who we drafted in 2023, is in the final year of his rookie deal. Maybe for some of you, it's too soon to talk about keeping Burke over Isaac. That's fine with me. I really, I don't want to say I don't care. I'm glad that the Ravens have these options. I'm glad that Adisa Isaac is the fifth possibility as an edge rusher. He looks big and strong this preseason, in my opinion. I'm talking about Isaac. I would say that one of the most stark advantages I see for Burke over the version of Isaac that we've got right now through 2 games, small sample size admittedly, Burke appears quicker, more agile. The ability to change direction, I like that screen, the PD on the screen, the forced fumble on the completed pass to Jones in the fourth quarter. I don't know that Adisa Isaac makes those 2 plays. And, hey, if it's Isaac that's gone and they keep Burke, I hope Isaac latches on somewhere and, lasts a long time in the NFL and in fact, lives up to the potential that a lot of people thought was there when he had, I think, 9.5 sacks his last year at Penn State. By the way, that was in a Manny Diaz defense, Dominic DeLuca on that team. And a lot of it was created / generated by Manny Diaz's style of defense. Chaotic pass rush structure, unpredictability, very similar to Brian Flores in a lot of ways, if you ask me. If it was up to me, if I had to make the choice, the call was mine, it would probably be Ethan Burke. Now, I don't know what goes on in practice. I don't know how good, consistent Adisa Isaac has been in drills and half-line situations, in particular against the run. I will say this. I don't think Burke responds well when he's comboed or double-teamed. Now, an edge defender theoretically shouldn't be comboed by 2 offensive linemen, right? You're lined up wider than the tight end oftentimes. I wonder about some of the toss double concepts where one tight end engages and then a second tight end who's motioning across hits you late, becomes the combination block late. It's that delayed nature of those toss double plays that really expands edge defenders because they're not ready for it. They're oftentimes engaging the first tight end or fullback, perhaps, and then the second guy catches them by surprise. That concept wasn't used a ton 6, 7, 8 years ago. We see it a lot more now. I wonder about Burke on stuff like that. I'd like to see him in the 3rd preseason game play a lot for 2 reasons. If the Ravens are trying to make up their mind whether to keep him or not. In addition, so he can cameo or put some film out there, some more good film out there, for another team to possibly pick him up if the Ravens don't retain him. You may think I'm off base here, and that's fine. We all obviously get to have different opinions. I welcome all the opinions in the comment section about the Ethan Burke, Adisa Isaac competition, so to speak. On the field in the preseason, Burke has definitely outplayed him. So I'm interested to see what other people have to think in our Ravens Discord. It's been a pretty healthy discussion, debate, if you will, albeit one that's been pretty respectful. In any case, if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments section. And then finally, if you think other Ravens fans would like to hear my thoughts on Ethan Burke as he performed in Saturday's win over the Vikings, then please consider grabbing a link to this video sharing it out on social media so other Ravens fans can enjoy it as well. Appreciate you guys' time.